This is the Upgrade Yourself podcast, where you'll learn actionable steps to enhance all areas of your life and design a life that you love. Here are your hosts, Chris and Diana Bryant. Welcome to today's episode. This is episode 1, How to Redesign Your Life. I'm Chris.
And I'm Diana. And we are so excited about today's topic because I think it's very fitting to be the first topic we're going to talk about, because it's about redesigning your life. It's about understanding how we have the power to really redesign our life and start all over and make it however it is that we want to make it. So we're very, very excited about today's episode.
Yeah, and there's a lot of discussion as far as what the first episode should be. We have like 3 dozen or more ideas for different podcasts coming up. But we felt that this was a really, really great starting point. This is like a great foundation for listeners, for you, to really get started with, everything that we have planned for you down the pipeline.
Absolutely. I think this episode will help you reflect about your life, about what is important, about happiness, and making sure you guys are enjoying life to the max, because this is all we got, right? So
yeah, only one life. So.
That's right. So let's get started. We have today, and you guys are going to see us looking down a little bit to our notes here, but we are going to be sharing with you today 4 actionable steps that you actually can take to start redesigning your life. And once again, the whole idea of this is that you guys can evaluate and make sure what you're living, what you're doing right now, whether it's job, health, whatever it is, any area of your life, you guys are doing exactly what you are meant to be doing, and you're happy doing it, and you're enjoying life to the max. So let's start with our first step, actionable step, and is to identify your values. I think this is so important when we're talking about redesigning our life, because our values is what keep us moving in life, is what help us have a balance in life. And the reason why is because what is important to us is where we're gonna make it important for other people, our children, our coworkers, our partner, whoever it is. If our values are aligned and we're actually giving importance to those values, everybody else is going to be able to respect it as well. And we're going to feel happier and enjoy life more.
Yeah, it really is all about finding what makes you happy too. I mean, what the values are to you is really what makes you happy, and that's what it's all about.
So I'm going to give you an example. My 3 core values, and Chris, we did this exercise, like we do it often, but we did it not too long ago, where we identified our values, because as we grow older, or even every year, right, our values tend to stay the same, but at the same time we can sometimes things shift in life, right? And we have to constantly be reevaluating those values. So last time we did it, we came up, each of us, with the 10 most important values that what is important to us. And out of those 10 values, we narrow it down to 3 of them. And I think to give you an idea, I'm going to share with you guys my 3 most important values. And to me, number 1 is having a close relationship with God. I'm very spiritual, so that's one of my most important ones. The second value is freedom, to be able to have freedom, work from wherever, and have freedom of time and money, and really feel that we can do whatever we want, even redesigning our life, right? And our third one is, for me, is family. So having quality time with my family, putting my family first. So I think those 3 values, what I do is I redesign my life based on those values, and they help me make financial decisions. They help me make any kind of, whether it's health or whatever it is, I keep those values in mind. And Chris has his own set of values. And then as a couple, we come together, reevaluate those values, what is important to him, what is important to me, and then we take it from there.
Yeah, because really these are guidelines to make sure, like, you want to come back and take a look at those values of yours to make sure, am I hitting everything that's important to me? Am I maybe straying away from one of these? Am I seeing my family enough, or whatever these things are, and find out what's most important to you, and make sure you hold on to those, and you're really striving to achieve those and hit those values at all times. Try to do it every day if you can.
Right. And then one quick tip about that, when you guys are looking into what are your values, you can Google it. You just write, or you can Google, values in life, things like that. And they will give you like tons of lists of different values that you guys can start seeing which ones apply to you and which ones don't apply. And my recommendation is pick the top 10, because they have like 50 values out there or more. Pick the top 10 and then focus on the 3 first ones that are the most important to you.
And this really is an important step because again, it's the foundation. So take your time and do this. Really be honest with yourself as far as what the values are. Right. Head to your local coffee shop and, chill out, relax, or at home, light some candles, grab some wine or whatever, and start writing these down and start really prioritizing them. Not only picking your top, say 10, but try to make them, top, number 8, number 7, number 6. So that way, you know what's most important, because everything else follows these values. If you kind of rush through it and, you miss one that's like super critical, you realize later on, it's always good to take the time to make sure you're very, very clear on this step. So next step is evaluate. Now that you have these values set, you've got it on a piece of paper, you've got it on your Google Sheets, wherever you're keeping these things, really take a look at where you are in life and what you're doing in life, your hobbies, who you hang out with, your career. Is this in line with your values? If not, maybe it's time for a change.
Absolutely. I think once you guys have identified the first 3 most important values to you, it's important to analyze every single area of your life. And if you guys are seeking for happiness and balance in your life, this step is very important, and is precisely that, to evaluate where you guys are living right now in every single area and compare it to your values. In my case, for example, am I putting God first on the most important areas of my life? It's my family. Am I giving them priority? Or, all those kind of things that are important to me. Am I having freedom? Am I designing my life in a way that I can have freedom of location, money, and time? It's really keeping those kind of things in mind when you're evaluating your current life.
Yeah, and just to share some of my values, I don't know the exact order, but I know these 3 are on there. Dinah shared 3, I'll share 3. One is happiness, making sure I'm happy and those around me are happy. Fun, making sure we're having fun. And helping others. That's very, very important to me, those 3 things. So I take a look, am I happy? What is stealing my happiness? Am I having fun? Geez, if I'm, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, like the saying goes. And, if you're just working, you can get burnt out. That's a whole other podcast episode. But make sure you're having fun, even if it's a little bit every day. One of my favorite sayings is, it's a Charlie Chaplin quote: "A day without a laugh is a wasted day." And
I think that applies to Chris perfectly. There is no one day I can say that he doesn't make me laugh. And he definitely focused on making sure he's happy and everybody around him is happy and he's having fun. So, yep, he definitely lives with those values, that's for sure. But now I'm going to transition to the next point, which is create a list. And what we mean by this is, now that you have identified your values, now that you have evaluated your life, it's important that you actually create a list of the things that you need to change. There are things that, are going to be something that you can implement right away, or there is something that probably you're going to need to sit down with your husband, or if you are single, just evaluate it and start implementing those changes as soon as possible, because the faster you start implementing changes in your life, the faster you're going to be able to align with your values and feel happier and fulfill with everything that you're doing.
Yeah, that list is going to be the roadmap. You've already identified what your most important values are. You've listed them, scale 1 to 10. You've evaluated how your current life choices that you've made up till now and where you are in life coincides with those values. And now that list is like the actionable steps that you're going to take. Okay, listen, what I'm doing for a job doesn't make me happy. I can't have fun. I'm not helping others. Again, those are my 3. But if it's really, let's say, like your career doesn't tick off a single box off of your values, look for something that does. Mm-hmm. Even if you end up taking a pay cut, If you are happier doing what you're doing and you could be prouder of what you say you do, that's a huge, huge win.
Absolutely.
I mean, unfortunately, what you do is such a big part of you, especially in American culture. I mean, it's like one of the first things people ask when they meet you, oh, what do you do? Make sure you're happy and you're satisfied with that. And that could be, something that's not a big glamorous job. I've met people who are custodians at schools. They love what they do. They're so good at it. They whistle. The kids say hi to them. And, it's just, if you love what you do, that person to me is a success.
Absolutely.
They're not making $1 million a year. It's not the cleanest, greatest job in the world, but they love it. They embrace it.
Absolutely. It's all about what makes us happy, what brings us joy, right? And that's probably another episode we will talk about in the future with Chris. What defines success? What is it success to you? And that's going to also help you notice that when your values are taking priority in your life, then you're having a successful life. But we will talk about that in a future podcast. But one of the things that I wanted to say, guys, this could be a little overwhelming when it comes to analyzing all the areas of your life and probably, comparing to your values and things like that. But that's why we're here for. That's why we have this desire to put out this podcast for you and walk you step by step. And this is just the first episode of many episodes where we're going to be giving you practical steps to help you achieve that, right? So I will say the number one thing that you guys have to start working on today is identifying those values, and then don't worry about the rest, because we are here to help you guys walk you through every single area of your life, making sure you guys are putting those values first.
Based on your feedback, I mean, each one of these points may end up being a future podcast episode that we're going to dive even more into, because we're trying to keep the episodes short. I mean, the average commute in the U.S. is about 23 minutes, so we're trying to keep it at 23 minutes or below, because you figure when you get to work, you don't want to keep listening to podcasts. You want to get out of the car and get to work, or whatever it is that you're doing. Don't want to make them too lengthy, generally speaking. But going back to the list that you're making, you want to make sure that these goals are very clear as well. Like, okay, what's the list I have to do? Not, switch careers. Let's say I'm kind of stuck on that one right now, but it's let's make sure I get a new job. That's not the greatest goal. Get a new job in 6 months. Update my resume within 1 week. Apply to 5 places within 4 weeks.
Actionable goals, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, the fourth step is arguably the most important one you can take, because it is actually taking immediate action. Whether it's big or small, a step forward is a step forward in the right direction. So whether it's making that list, it's, the next step may be, okay, I've already made the list. I've got to evaluate. I've got to create that list with the goals. Now let's get going with it. What was on that list? Step 1, update the resume. Again, using the careers as the example. Okay, let me get up to date on my resume. Let me make sure my LinkedIn's up to date. How's my profile photo? Is it looking good? And start putting the wheels in motion. Make one step forward every single day. One thing I like to say is every day do something that moves the needle, even if it's a little bit. Do one thing that moves the needle every day. Absolutely.
And one thing that I want to add to this is that we have to be intentional with our actions. It's don't wait for your husband or your mother or your kids to motivate you. You have to motivate yourself. You have to say, I'm going to take this action. I'm going to do it for myself. I'm going to be intentional. And if you want to redesign and really transform your life in any way or form, you are the one who have to do it. Nobody else is going to do it for you. So this point, I will say, is one of the most important ones, because you can redesign your life all you want in paper, but if you don't take action, nothing is going to happen. So it's important that you're intentional about every decision that you make, that you actually take action, and that you set up goals for yourself and you stick to those goals.
Yeah, if you could do step 1 through 3, identify the values, evaluate, and make the list. If you don't take this last step, all you did was scribble on a piece of paper. You didn't do anything. You've got to actually put this plan in motion. You can have the best step 1, 2, and 3. You can have the best list in the world. You're like, man, if I execute on all of this, I'll be living my dream life.
Right.
But if you don't start making the steps to make it happen, it's going to remain a wish.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's any goals that you put on a paper, if you don't take action on them, if you don't give dates to them and actually make it actionable for you, they will become just dreams, something that you will just dream about and will never come true in your life.
And it's a platitude, but it's true. I mean, someday, don't wait for someday, because that's a dangerous word. It's never going to happen. You're going to be on your deathbed going, someday never came. And
some days today.
Exactly. Some days today. Exactly. So that brings us to our actionable steps for the episode. There's also a recap, because what we just went over are your actionable steps that we want you to take this week. We want you to do this week. Really put a fire under you. Step 1 is identify your values.
Step 2 is to evaluate and compare to your current life.
Number 3 is make a list of the changes that you need to make and put real goals on there with real end dates.
And step 4 is to take immediate, intentional action.
Do it. So thank you guys very, very much for listening. This was episode 1. If you found any kind of value at all from this episode, it would mean the world to us if you went on to Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen and leave us a rating that helps other people find it too. Maybe like, I don't know about this brand new podcast. Should I listen to it? Oh, somebody gave it a good rating. Maybe I should give it a shot. So, and we really, the point is to impact as many people as possible with this content. So you can help us do that, and we will see you next time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for listening to us and watching, whoever is watching through YouTube. We love you guys, and we talk to you next time.